Hey everybody, it's Kathy here and I'm playing along today with Baby Got Scraps. So I'm using up some of my scraps from my Scrapbook Fantasies creations and I'm building a layout. So I am allowed to have a base page in the scraps. So I've got this Boho Beauty base as my layout structure. And that black frame I've had for a while sitting in a box, so that's a scrap, and I'm putting it together. All of the pieces that I've cut out on my Cricut have come from scraps as well, and I have mounted my photo on scraps, or matted my photo with a double amount of scraps. So you can see that I have cut these balloons on my Cricut using scrap cardstock that I've had laying around. I do want to give a nod to Helen Ding, who did an amazing layout recently with her photo and a giant balloon cutout die in the background, and that's what gave me the idea to try this one. So thank you, Helen, for your inspiration. I'm using this Boho Beauty leftover scrap of the wood frame, which is the reverse side of my base, and I'm using that as an anchor point on this layout. Now, this photo is of my daughter. We were in the city and we went into Maya and they had this great Wicked display because Wicked is so big and being promoted everywhere, particularly just before Christmas. And so she was back to her old usual happy-go-lucky self, and when she was growing up, everywhere we went she would love to throw these poses where she would kick her leg up and have the pose done. So it was nice to see she was being young and youthful again, and so I took that photo and this is the layout that I'm creating for it. So I'm just going to add some smooching here. I was looking for my water spray bottle, but I'm not sure where it is at the moment, so I've just gone the old way and got my watercolor palette water and just added a few drops to lighten up that moss coloured, I think it's called, I can't even remember the name of it, I have to look it up. And it was the one that I used to smooch across here and put some shading into the background of this layout to create a focal point for my photos. It's actually, I can't even find out what the name is, that's so bad. Anyway, I've got it here somewhere in the stack of ink sitting on my desk, and I will find it and I will put the name down below. And I'm just smooching it in behind the balloons there just to create a shadowing effect, to give it a glow, because I want it to glow a little bit like magic, like Wizard of Oz itself. That's always the great effect you can have when you're doing these sorts of layouts, and you can want to build some interest to the actual flat layout. You can build it up by adding that ink styling. So I'm just laying out the balloons where I want them to lay. I have chosen the colours of Galinda and Alphaba, pink and the green, of course, because they are classic Wicked colours, and they marry beautifully with this paper range, and I'm glad that that's lifting those balloons up off that page just enough to give it a point of interest. So I'm just going to layer the last of these in and put them into place so that I can start constructing this layout. I did go into my design space on Cricut and just search for hot air balloons, and I was able to just get these ones. I backed the three with scrap leftovers. The one with the flowers, I've used the pink and I've used a darker green to give it the two different shades through the layout. That darker green is also the same colour that I've used to match the photo on the second level. So I'm tying all of those colours together and making the links so that they are not stand alone but actually blend and complement each other nicely. Alright, so I'm just using some foam tape just to pop up some of them. I don't want them all to be popped up, I just want some. That allows for the interest off the page, adding dimension and shadows. And I know what that ink is. It's pine needles. Sorry about that. couldn't even work out what it was. So it's pine needles. That's the one that I've used at Distress Oxide. I cut out the title as well on Feeling Wicked, which I have put through my Xyron sticker maker. That makes it so much easier when you're using pieces and putting them together. I have used leftover pieces, as I said, from my boho collection, Boho Beauty. The vellum leaves are leftovers from a vellum sheet. These flowers I've cut out from a scrap leftover sheet, and so I've been able to build those up, and they're just scraps that are sitting in the pile, and this is a great way of using them up. I like the fact that I could fussy cut them and put them onto this layout as well and stretch that stash. It's a good way about looking at your scraps and thinking, how else can I use them? I fell in love with them once. I'm going to use them again on a layout and give them a new life. I'm really sorry about my throat, guys. It just keeps popping in and out as good. It dries out and then it gets worse. So I'm on the mend, but hopefully there won't be too many more videos before I'm back to normal. All right, I'm using this gold shimmer pen that I got from Uniquely Creative, and I'm just colouring in the darker greens here to give it a gold shimmer effect when it dries, and that allows that little sparkle for the magic of Wicked, and it's just easy to apply. The brush is actually quite wet, which is nice, and the glimmer is a little shimmer. You can't see it too well on this video, but it does actually do a sparkle. I just added in some shimmers there into the center of those flowers to add more glitter to the page. Using my white gel pen now, I'm just adding some highlights to the black on the balloons so that they have a 3D effect, and I lift it up off that background a little bit further. Now, I'm not very good at scattering sequins, sorry, mental block. Not very good at scattering this sequence. There are some people who are really, really clever at it, and it is something that I want to develop further. But at the moment, I've just put in my dots of glue so that I have little sprinklings of 3 in spots around the layout. Instead of using Nuvo drops, this time I chose to use the sequins in the shades of the pinks. And you can just see how that is adding that little bit of extra interest to the layout and a little bit of sparkle. So it's a pretty simple layout. It did use up a lot of scraps, which was really, really helpful. I like the fact that I can go back and use my scraps and clear them out. Better used on a layout than in the recycling bin or handing off. These are just different ways that you can put your scraps together to create a new and dynamic layout. So to finish it off, I'm just going to cover up my photo here, and I'm going to add some black splatters using the Distress ink spray from Dilutions, and I'm just putting that in a few spots around the layout. Not too much, not to overpower it, but to just add a little bit of interest and fill in that mixed media background type effect on this layout. So I'm glad that you stayed through to watch this video. I'm hoping that there's something here that inspires you to get out your mixed media, your scraps, and create a layout that represents a special moment for you and your family. Remember, there is a full playlist down below. You can see here how that has all layered up and come together. As I said, all of this is scrap. The only thing that's not is that base page. The rest is all come from leftovers that I've used and have sitting in my pile. More gone out of my stash, back onto a layout, another page in my album. And I really am impressed with how this turned out. And thanks again, Helen Ding, for your inspiration. I really am grateful for having watched your video and seeing your balloon take on Wicked. So that's where the idea came from. Thank you very much for watching. Happy scrapping till next time, and here's my next video recommendation for you. Don't forget to use those scraps.